ओम परतत्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्ण समाज्ञया यो धर्म स्थापन रतो वीरेशम तम नमाम्यहम. We are studying Swamiji's Bhakti Yoga and we are in the 4th chapter. Name of the chapter is Need of the Guru. In the first chapter, mainly through Narad Bhakti Sutras and then through endless scriptures, Swamiji tried to present for us what is Bhakti, and mainly through Narad Bhakti Sutras, but he ended that chapter by telling us that Bhakti, from the lowest forms of worship up to the highest union with God, it is experience of love for God, that is Bhakti. When love for God is experienced in the mildest way, we engage ourselves in worship, ritual worship, and when the love for God reaches its highest, we find we are united with Him. So, the force of love for God carrying us from this to that end is Bhakti. That is how Swamiji has defined it. In between, he also told us, one moment of divine madness releases a man forever. And then, what is God? Why we worship God and not others? For that, Swamiji took a theoretical discussion through all the acharyas about the definition of Ishvara. And the final definition which Swamiji places above all other definitions was Isha Anirvachaniya Prema Swarupa. God is of the nature of indescribable love. And that he has placed above all the definitions. And then other definitions include the creator, preserver and destroyer of this universe. And how the love definition is higher than that, we find in the lives of gopis, blessed gopis, that when Uddhava told them that you should think of God as all-pervading, think of God as ruler of the world and so many things, they said we are not concerned with that. We know we love God, we know God loves us, that is only thing for us. So, Swamiji has put that love definition above all. And then, lot of theoretical discussion has taken place which appear dry to the speaker, listeners and Swamiji himself. So in the 3rd chapter, which Swamiji has called Spiritual Realization, the aim of Bhakti Yoga, he said these dry details are necessary only to strengthen his will. Beyond that, they are of no use to him. For he is treading on a path which is fitted very soon to lead him beyond the hazy and turbulent regions of reason, to lead him to the realm of realization. So experience is the main thing in Bhakti, that Swamiji has told, and these ideas are to make the will strong, that I am on the right path, I am loving the right person. In that way only this is useful. And throughout the chapter, Swamiji has shown that this experience, when it gets into realization, those things which are only in our faith today, in our imaginations mostly, exist in us as ideas, when they become real, when we experience them permanently, that is called realization, and that is the aim of Bhakti Yoga, no other aim. So Bhakti Yoga and Bhakti difference first day we had talked. So not that doing something for God, but experiencing God till we realize Him. That is how the Bhakti Yoga proceeds. Then in the 4th chapter, which we started, the need of a Guru, there Swamiji says that each soul is destined to be perfect one day because we are Brahma Swarupa. So nothing can obstruct us ultimately. We may have to go through almost infinite ups and downs, but one day we have to come to realization because God is in us. God is Swayam Jyoti and He will manifest in spite of all the difficulties. But that does not mean that we should live idle life or we should not make an effort. And this effort can succeed only if the inner heart is open, and that can be done only by a person who has his heart open. Mahapurush Maharaj used to pray not for himself but to show us automatically. In Bengali, Ma amar anuvayer daroja khule de, Ma amar anuvayer daroja khule de, Mother, please open the door of my experiences. So spiritual experience is closed, under closed doors today because of our intellectual and emotional dealings with the world. Unless they stop, the inner door will not be opened. So I used to pray to Mother like that, and Swamiji has shown that this quickening impulse has to come from a soul and nothing else. Then the person from whose soul such impulse comes is called the Guru, the teacher, and the person to whom the impulse is conveyed is called the Shishya, the student. And Swamiji has shown that Guru is wonderful and Shishya also has to be a receiver proper. Up to this, we have read last time. And then he said that if you are the proper receiver, the giver will come to you. That is the spiritual law of the universe. Now, but don't accept anybody and everybody as a guru. That is the main point. 90% people, I cannot talk of percentages, but many people are deluded because they want a guru, and so many people are there to declare I am a guru, and the people become deluded. Somebody asked me on phone 3 days back, in Pune there is some Swami, I will not take the name. He is giving Shaktipata Diksha. Shall I take? I said, be 100 miles away from that person. In Maharashtra, who is known as Shivaji's Guru, Samartha Ramdas Swami, he has said that if you get such gurus who do not make you do sadhana, if you get such gurus, 3 such gurus for 1 pice, throw them away. That is his language. शिष्यास न करविती साधन ऐसे गुरु अडक्याचे 3 मिळाले तरी टाकावे. Adka means half a pice. You cannot imagine, the lowest of the pice. And for 1 pice, if you get half a pice, you get 3 such gurus, throw them away. So Guru guides us, awakens us, and we have seen personally the examples of this awakening. And that can be done only by the proper Guru. Guru awakens. Guru does not give something, does not fall from the Guru. But the Shishya is raised. And so now Swamiji has taken up that point. There are, however, certain great dangers in the way. There is, for instance, the danger to the receiving soul of its mistaking momentary emotions for real religious yearning. First is that the Shishya is not ready. We have to make a clear distinction between emotion and feeling here. As Swamiji has pointed out, emotion plays in the mind. Emotion plays on the surface of the mind, and it can be translated into English as bhavochvasa. There is bhavochvasa and there is permanent bhava. In between is bhavana. In the Gita we find in Sthitaprajna Lakshan, the importance of bhavana is given there. Bhava means a steady relationship with God, a steady loving union with God, a steady feeling, which according to my Guruji, a genuine feeling comes only in the absolutely tranquil heart. Even the genuine thinking, he said, that comes from the absolutely tranquil heart. Genuine will comes from the absolutely tranquil heart. And we do not know that tranquil heart. We have mind and heart difference we must know. And this mind gives rise to several waves. And those waves are emotion. Now this wave generally connects us with the outside world. I will tell you a real story which I have heard. In Calcutta there was a young man, long back, maybe last century. He was married and he loved his young wife extremely well. But she died very young. So he had to take her corpse to the cremation ground and burn her body. And then a revolution went through his mind. And he wrote a book in Bengali, Udbhranta Prem. That means this love to a wife or husband is like madness, is like a deluded something. And then within a few years he married another woman. So this Udbhranta Prem became Udbhranta then. So these are temporary waves of the mind. And generally, if somebody dies who is near to us, gone. If some money is not, these are not necessary. Sometimes a man feels such an emotion for God. And if he comes across a woman, if a woman comes across a man, some money or some important position or life, then all that is forgotten. And such a Shishya should not say that I did not get a Guru properly. Now we see among those who get a wrong Guru, what happens? There is a word in our languages, Guru Baji. That means posing like a Guru and cheating people. Guru Baji succeeds only when we are Shishya Baji. We are not Shishyas. We feel we are Shishyas. Now all the incidents of this sham tantricism, where the tantric gurus have cheated hundreds and thousands, what those hundreds and thousands wanted? Did they want God? They wanted something worldly pleasure. And that is how they were deluded. If they want, there is a saying, you exchange a small amlaki fruit for a big pumpkin. If that be your tendency, you are sure to be cheated. So, first difficulty is taking the danger to the receiving soul of its mistaking momentary emotions for real religious yearning. Thakur has told us, if you can weep for 3 days for God or even for 1 day, you will get God. So we start weeping, and after 10 minutes we will forget for what we are weeping, and we will forget the weeping also, because it is only on the surface. We must study that in ourselves. Many a time in our lives, somebody dies whom we loved, we receive a blow, we feel that the world is slipping between our fingers, that we want something surer and higher, and that we must become religious. In a few days, that wave of feeling has passed away, and we are left stranded just where we were before. We are, all of us, often mistaking such impulses for real thirst after religion. So he said, all of us, often mistaking like this. So one has to guard against that. But as long as these momentary emotions are thus mistaken, that continuous real craving of the soul for religion will not come. And we shall not find the true transmitter of spirituality into our nature. So, whenever we are tempted to complain of our search after the truth, that we desire so much proving vain, instead of us so complaining, our first duty ought to be to look into our own souls and find whether the craving in the heart is real. then in the vast majority of cases, it would be discovered that we were not fit for receiving the truth, that there was no real thirst for spirituality. One danger. There are still greater dangers in regard to the transmitter of the Guru. Why has first discussed the Shishya? Because if these mistakes are there, he will mistake the Guru. And therefore, first telling about the wrong idea of the Shishya, now he comes, suppose the Shishya has this continuous yearning for realization, he will never mistake a Guru. Automatically, according to the spiritual law, he will be taken to a real Guru. A real Guru will meet him. As I told last time in the Christian terminology, the seeking seeker, seeking sinner, meeteth the seeking Savior. So the Guru will come to him. So now he discusses the dangers with regard to the Guru, transmitter. There are many who, though immersed in ignorance means not unlearnedness, illiterateness. Ignorance means not knowing the real nature of God, yet not knowing the real nature of themselves, not knowing the real nature of the world. Yet in the pride of their hearts, fancy they know everything. And not only do not stop there, but offer to take others on their shoulders. And thus the blind leading the blind both fall into the ditch. That he quotes from Kathopanishad, Avidyayam antare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana dandramyamana pariyanti mudha ande neva niyamana yathanda. They exist in the ignorance and they think themselves big scholars, and then like blind leading the blind, they lead people and they roam and roam without direction, and that is how it ends. Fools, Swami himself has translated, fools dwelling in darkness, wise in their own conceit, and puffed up with vain knowledge, go round and round, staggering to and fro, like blind men led by the blind. The world is full of these. Everyone wants to be a teacher. Every beggar wants to make a gift of $1 million. It is like that. Just as these beggars are ridiculous, so are these teachers. That has ended the chapter on the need of the Guru by telling about the defects. So, next chapter, chapter 5th, Swamiji takes up qualifications of the aspirant and the teacher. He has shown the drawbacks on both sides, and now he explains the real characteristics on both sides. First, aspirant. Because there is a notion, wrong notion, we cannot be greater than Guru to judge whether he is right Guru or not. It is a foolishness. If you have fitness as a Shishya, you can definitely understand who is your Guru. So, first Shishya and then Guru. Qualifications of the aspirant and the teacher. How are we to know a teacher then? He talks about the teacher. But then the sun requires no torch to make him visible. First he talks about the Jagat Gurus, the Ishwaravatas. And about them he says, the sun requires no torch to make him visible. We need not light a candle in order to see him. When the sun rises, we instinctively become aware of the fact because our blood becomes hot. And when a teacher of men comes to help us, the soul will instinctively know that truth has already begun to shine upon it. Truth stands on its own evidence. It does not require any other testimony to prove it true. So, when God comes as man, it evidently, if the Shishya has receptivity, automatically it will dawn in him that he is my teacher. Here I want to make a comment. In the present situation in the Ramakrishna Math or any proper sampradaya in the world, we meet a man, human being, and he may give us mantra. And if we think he is my guru, it is our mistake. All the real teachers in the Ramakrishna Math, my one example if I take, I got the mantra from revered Swami Yatishwaranandaji, and he told me and all the people in the batch, I am not your guru. Your guru is Sri Ramakrishna. So if we come to Ramakrishna mission, Sri Ramakrishna is taken. No, the question comes now how to take the real guru and bad guru. And we should not hang upon and consider anyone as our guru. But we are not misled because Sri Ramakrishna is our guru. So that is how we have to take. I will explain it a little more as I heard from my Guruji. You see, the rainwater comes. I will quote Mahaprabhuji's incident first. In those days, Brahman Swamiji was initiating, Holy Mother was initiating. So one aspirant went to Mahaprabhuji and said, Maharaj, is there any difference? Some people take their initiation from Maharaj, some people take their initiation from Mother. Mahaprabhuji said, why there will be any difference? The rainwater falls on the terrace and there are different mouths, channels, taking the water out of the terrace. And sometimes there is a lion shape, sometimes tiger shape, sometimes cow mouth. And from there the water is coming. But water is coming from the sky only. So why there will be a difference? After telling this, said, but your question is wrong. Nobody can take initiation from anybody. He gets his initiation. Some people get their initiation from others, some people get their initiation. Now all this is absolutely true because those were the men of God. We should not unnecessarily impose this thing from the person from whom we are getting initiation. And for that I give you the example of Yatishwaranandaji. So, I was about to tell what my Guruji told me. There, now suppose there is a president of the Ramakrishna Mission or some vice president. Now if everybody in Ramakrishna Mission starts giving mantra diksha, there will be a chaos, a chaotic situation. So the mission has decided that these will be the people who will be giving initiation. So my Guru used to say, they are the mouthpieces. They are the mouthpieces through which the mantra is coming to us. I give an example. I give a detailed discussion here. When most revered Yatishwaranji first came to Nagpur in 1960, he had written beforehand that I will not initiate more than 50 people at a time. At a time means not like this, in a visit of 7 days, not more than 50 people. Every day there were never more than 10 or 12. And initiation was from person to person. Now, while making list, it had become 52. He had seen it, approved it. Now, on the last day, the initiation went on for 4 or 5 days. Now, one day before the last day, 2 new people came and requested, can we get initiation? My Guruji told me to take them to Somnath Maharaj, who was Yatishwaranji's secretary. I protested, Maharaj, he has said not more than 50. We are already 52. How can I ask him for more? He said, that is none of your business. You take them. Then I, as if arguing from his side, Maharaj, will it not be a greater strain to him? He said, Array, that is their work. They have to do that. That is their work, they have to do that. You take him. So I took him to Somnath Maharaj. Somnath Maharaj went to Yatishwaranji and asked Maharaj, two people have come like this, shall we take them? He said that in Bengali, যেখানে 52 সেখানে 53. If 52 can be admitted, 53 also can be admitted. So he is 50, because that in place of 50 don't bring 100, that's all. No, I am remembering this because Maharaj told me that is their work. You can't say that that is more strenuous. Now suppose we have allotted some work in the mission, then we have strength to do our work. We have to do that. So from this I gathered perfectly well that they are the mouthpieces, and Shri Ram Krishna's, our Holy Mother's mantras are coming through them, and that is what Yatishwaranji had told me. These days I find people become sentimental about the person, not that they should not have devotion for him, they should have, but as a mouthpiece, they should consider, is my appeal, that Shri Ram Krishna is our Guru. And to serve Shri Ram Krishna, we have to serve mission. We have to serve Shri Ram Krishna, we have to follow his advice and do our work properly. So that would be the proper attitude towards the Guru. And that is why in this chapter, Swamiji started talking first of incarnation. When Shri Ram Krishna has come, all the receivers throughout the world have felt that here is a sunlight come to us. And when the sunlight has come, we shall approach him, maybe through the proper channels. It penetrates into the innermost corners of our nature. So Shri Ram Krishna is like the sun. The rays penetrate into innermost corners of our nature. And in its presence, the whole universe stands up and says, this is truth. The teachers whose wisdom and truth shine like the light of the sun are the very greatest the world has known, and they are worshipped as God by the major portion of mankind. So, he wants to tell qualifications of the aspirant and the teacher. First he starts how to know a teacher and has presented incarnation, because we are properly attracted by the incarnation. But now comes what we receive. So very practically Swamiji is telling, but we may get help from comparatively lesser ones also. Only we ourselves do not possess intuition enough to judge properly of the man from whom we receive teaching and guidance. Intuition means supersensuous direct knowledge. We do not possess that to judge a teacher. So there ought to be certain tests, certain conditions for the teacher to satisfy, as there also for the taught. So at this point he has shifted to the taught first. Gurus, Jagat Gurus, incarnations, and we receive impulse from them through somebody. And we become aware he is the Jagat Guru. Now that somebody, we may not be higher than him, but we have some criteria to test him. First we should see our real, genuine spiritual hankering. So that is what has come. To test the Guru, the Shishya should be fit enough. The conditions necessary for the taught are, what are the conditions necessary for the taught? Purity, a real thirst after knowledge, and perseverance. Purity. This is a relative term, of course. If you are absolutely pure, you will realize God. what Jesus has said. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So this statement is a relative statement. If we are given too much to enjoying the world, we cannot receive spirituality. So first condition is purity, relatively. Second is a real thirst after knowledge. Remember, Swamiji is teaching Bhakti Yoga. And as a criteria for the student, he talks of a real thirst after knowledge. We have already seen this in the first chapter, the relation between knowledge and bhakti. Please do not misunderstand. Knowledge here does not mean information or conviction or intellectuality. Knowledge means change of consciousness. Then only the love grows. Love grows only when our consciousness has changed into the pure lover of God. And so, that is what Swamiji proposes. A real thirst after knowledge. Thirst after knowledge does not mean you will go on reading books. Thirst after knowledge does not mean we will chase scholars. Thirst after knowledge means we know that our present consciousness is wrong. We must get the correct consciousness, and there is a thirst for this. This thirst has to be real, not as Swamiji has told, some emotional, temporary hankering. And perseverance, that is the main important thing. What is perseverance? We can come to the word perseverance with the help of some other word. Patience is one word. If we sow a seed, next day we cannot see the fruit. It will take its own time to rotten. It will take its own time to sprout. It will take its own time to become a tree, leaves, flowers, and then fruits. Now we are asked to be patient. Don't, after seed has to be proper, that is all right, Swamiji has already described. It has been sown properly, you are watering it up. There was a story about a mental asylum. And one person who was not so mad was showing them around. And then in the end he was asked why you are here. He said, I put a seed and on the first day 10 times I watered it, 12 times I changed its soil, but nothing came. So you have to have patience. Now, patience should not mean, oh, we are sitting, it will happen, someday it will happen, someday it will happen. That patience is not complete. So the word is perseverance. You must stick to the practices. You must stick to your attempts. Don't expect the fruit immediately. So patience is a passive something. Perseverance is active patience. That is a great difference. Sri Ramakrishna used to sing, still some funny thing, a Hindi song. हरि से लागी रहो रे भाई, तेरा बनत बनत बनी जाई, तेरी बिगड़ी बात बनी जाई. With several examples. Be attached to Hari, be attached to God. Gradually, your aim will be fulfilled. Step by step, it will be fulfilled. Be patient. And then suddenly you would say, this type of mild bhakti will not take you anywhere. Why banata banata? You must have that strong desire. Today I will realize, in this very life I will get God. Now I will get God. Now tell me, is there contradiction in these two teachings of Sri Ramakrishna? Can we understand the meaning? Our yearning should be intense, should not expect the results immediately. If your attitude is that, oh, gradually it will be made, it will never be made. But if our attitude is, now I want, then maybe next year you will get. So, till then we have to persevere. I will give another brilliant example. The Lord Buddha went to several sampradayas and did their practices and found out that they are not helping him. So he determined in his own mind, I shall meditate myself and get the truth. And his attitude at that time has been described like this. Iyasane shushyatu me shariram tvag asti mansam pralayam chayatu aprapya bodhim bahukalpa durlabham naivasanat kayamatas chalishyati. On this asana, let my body dry out. My skin, bones and flesh may go to destruction. But till I get that, the final illumination, which is rare to get even in many kalpas, I am not going to get up from this seat. And that night, he got the illumination, step by step. Now, Sri Ramakrishna's disciples, they wrote this shloka on the wall of a room. And there they used to meditate every day. Understood? They are not getting in the same night. But every day with that determination they are sitting. This is perseverance. Every day they are sitting there with the determination that this night I will not get up from my seat. They have to get up. But again the same determination. This is perseverance. I will give you another example. After Sri Ramakrishna's Mahasamadhi, Swamiji Narendranath is talking with Master Maharshi. What should I do to realize God? He said, anything can be done. Shall I do pryopation? Pryopation means fasting till death, or fasting till I get my desired object, which is God. Master Maharshi said, yes, pryopation also can be done. Then Narendra said, but suppose I could not control my hunger. Then Master Maharshi, then eat something and again do pryopation. You understand? So, perseverance is this attitude. So the desire and the attempt should be intense. The result will come in its own time, because immediately the fruit does not come. It comes by stages. Now these three have been told to be Shishya's main qualifications. Purity, that means too much love for the enjoyment of the world will completely spoil the whole thing. So first is purity relative. Second is keenness to change yourself, keenness to change the level of your consciousness. So he says, real thirst after knowledge for bhakta and perseverance. If we do not have these three, we cannot judge the Guru. If you have these three, we will definitely be able to judge the Guru. Now, Swamiji is first of all describing these three. No impure soul can be really religious. Really, apparently it can be. Purity in thought, speech and act is absolutely necessary for anyone to be religious. Thought pure, speech pure and act is pure. This is necessary. As to the thirst after knowledge, it is an old law that we all get whatever we want. None of us can get anything other than what we fix our hearts upon. To pant for religion, truly, is a very difficult thing. Not at all so easy as we generally imagine. Hearing religious talks or reading religious books is no proof yet of a real want felt in the heart. There must be a continuous struggle, a constant fight, an unremitting grappling with our own nature. This is the real thirst after knowledge. What is obstructing? Knowledge is within us. What is obstructing is our lower nature, our drags towards the world, that is called the lower nature. And we have to continuously struggle to overcome that drag, to prove superior to that lower nature. So, continuous struggle, a constant fight, and unremitting grappling, like kushti, unremitting. We do not stop till we defeat the other. Here there is no other, till we defeat our lower nature. With our lower nature, till the higher want is actually felt. So when we cross this, then the actual want for the higher truth, for God, is felt, and the victory is achieved. So this grappling with lower nature continuously till we rise higher, this is what is the hankering after knowledge. It is not a question of 1 or 2 days, of years or of lives. The struggle may have to go on for hundreds of lifetimes. So that perseverance is coming now. That struggle, when it ends, Shankara has given a beautiful example in Vivek Chudamani, that we are pounding upon rice, on paddy to get rice. And the question is, how many times we have to pound? And Shankar's reply is, till the rice comes out. If the rice comes out in one pounding, then we stop. We are not pounding the rice. If the rice does not come out in 10 or 12 pounding, so it's still more till the rice comes out. So it is not a question of counting or days. It is a question of when the battle is over, we will ourselves feel. It is not a question of 1 or 2 days, of years or of life. The struggle may have to go on for hundreds of lifetimes. The success sometimes may come immediately, but we must be ready to wait patiently, even for what may look like an infinite length of time. Wait patiently and be at effort continuously. That becomes perseverance. The student who sets out with such a spirit of perseverance will surely find success and realization at last. So at last the realization will come, success will come, but with such perseverance. Now regard to the teacher. Such is our attitude, we can test the teacher. Otherwise we don't want to pay. I remember another thing. When I was in Rishikesh in 78, 79, I was standing near the bank of the Ganges. 2 young men in some eager spirit were going. And they stopped and asked me, have you got Guru? I said, yes. Have you realized God? I said, no. Then you have not got the Guru. They said, Guru should give you God immediately. Then I said, no. I have got Guru, I have got direction, I have to struggle and I am struggling. That is a Guru. But they wanted a Guru, to find a Guru who will give them, immediately give them God. So, such people cannot find a real Guru. In regard to the teacher, we must see that he knows the spirit of the scriptures. I intend to take it up on next turn. Okay, we stop here today. In regard to the teacher, we have studied what the student should be, and with assimilation of this, we will see about the criteria of the teacher on the next turn. Om Paratatve Sada Lino Ramakrishna Samagya Yo Dharma Sthapana Rato Viresham Tam Namamyaham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.